Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 23rd of August, 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, I've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed the day up 0.4% today to 7,148 points. Could have been quite a bit better, but for a sell-off in the final few minutes of trading. The iron ore miners did well on the back of rising prices. Fortescue Metals Group and Rio Tinto jumped almost 2.5%, while BHP was up nearly 2%. The banks were higher, led by Westpac, which rose 1.3%. Wesfarmers also did well, and that was in part due to the Woolworths half-year result. The country's largest grocer reported a $3.1 billion pre-tax profit after being able to increase profit margins, sending its share price up 5%. Story number 2, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers today announced a review of national competition rules in an effort to boost sagging productivity. Ahead of the release of the intergenerational report tomorrow, Chalmers said a task force into competition policy will be supported by a panel of experts, including Chief Executive of the Grattan Institute, Danielle Wood, and former Chair of the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, Rod Sims. The Treasurer said the review will look at competition laws, policies and institutions to ensure they remain fit for purpose. The government says an update to competition law is needed to ensure the country can make the most of digitalisation, the growth in services, the net zero transformation, and to provide support to the nation's most vulnerable. It will consider the proposals put forward by the ACCC around merger reform, as well as other competition law issues. Story number 3, the share price of market darling, Wisetech Global, plunged 17% today after the global logistics software company forecast lower than expected earnings, in part due to the need for additional investments. Generally, Wisetech can do no wrong, and even after today's massive tumble, it's still up around 40% this year. The company reported a 9% jump in full-year profit, but share prices move on future earnings, and commentary from Chief Executive and founder Richard White disappointed investors. Growth in revenue and earnings will come in lower than forecast, in part because it made 2 major acquisitions over the past year, and they've squeezed margins. They also need more money. White said Wisetech often bought low-margin businesses and turned them into high-margin businesses, and that's what's going on now. Story number 4, oil and gas giant Santos posted a 32% drop in first half profit on lower production and prices, but that didn't stop it from lifting its dividend. Net profit for the 6 months to the end of June came in at $1.2 billion. Chief Executive Kevin Gallagher said Santos is operating in an ever-challenging macro environment. Now, Santos had already informed the market the volumes were down and prices came off from their post-Ukraine invasion spikes. So not a lot of surprises today. When it comes to new projects, Santos is still consulting about its Barossa gas project in the Timor Sea, and there were no new updates in its efforts to sell its stake in a Papua New Guinea LNG business. Gallagher said Santos is expanding work in its energy solutions area that focuses on cleaner fuels and decarbonisation. Its carbon capture and storage project at its Moomba gas site in South Australia's north is due online next year. And finally, story number 5, leaders of the BRICS countries, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, are meeting to plot the future course of the bloc of developing nations. Heightened tensions after the Ukraine war and Beijing's growing rivalry with the United States have pushed China and Russia to seek to strengthen BRICS. They want to use a meeting in Johannesburg to bolster the grouping into a counterweight to Western dominance of global institutions, according to Reuters. Meanwhile, Australia is looking to advance talks on several crucial trade deals when the G20 ministers meet in India next month. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 23rd of August, 2023. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.